Okay, good. So, hello everyone. My name is Isabel Godoy. Okay, I am the coordinator of the Ambassador Program. I am here today with two of my colleagues, Simon Turcas and Vincent Deringer. So they will conduce the meeting, but now I will speak a little bit more about some updates of the Ambassador Program that I consider that it's interest to let you know what is happening. I feel that a lot of time that I haven't seen you, but okay, maybe this is just a feeling, I don't know. But I think it's important to communicate what is happening in the ambassador program and talk a little bit with you. So first of all, I want to, I don't know if you have the chance to participate at the Island Finance Forum, but it was a really success event. So I enjoyed so much the sessions there. And one of the sessions that I enjoyed the most, it was the Island Innovation Award. So then we have the chance to select two of the ambassadors. One, it was a female ambassador, and the second, it was a male ambassador. Why? Because we want to we select the most impactful ambassador. And I think this is really important because the ambassador program is not just us, it's not just Island Innovation, it's more than the ambassador. So you are creating this community, you are here participating voluntarily, and we know that. So sometimes it's important to award our ambassador. So I will tell you a little bit more about that. So the finalists of the category of the most impactful Island Innovation Ambassador were Emilio de Jesus and Saidi Afrin. So Emilio de Jesus is from Dominican Republic, and he has a background in energy in Dominican Republic. So it was a really pleasure to participate in the ambassador program with Emilio de Jesus at the beginning. And then Saidi Afrin is a marine biologist from Fiji with a specialization in environmental management in ocean affairs. So thank you so much for the collaboration of Saidi Afrin. And then the winners of the category of the Island Innovation Award, it was Alfredo Coro and Maria Naraki. So Alfredo Coro is from Siargao Island in the Philippines, where he works at the municipal major in the municipality of Del Carmen. And despite being an authority in his country, he has always been willing to work voluntarily, create materials, and actively participating in conversations. So thank you so much, Alfredo. I know that you are always willing to participate in our ambassador meetings and collaborate with Island Innovation. And then Maria Naraki is from the Greek island of Crete and is an adjunct professor and associate teaching profession at Drexel University. So thank you so much, Maria. You have been contributed so much to our network, participating as a speaker of various editions of the Virtual Island Summit, participating in monthly meetings with ambassadors, recommending speakers for the Island Finance Forum and other events that the Island Innovation organized. And also she created a virtual event on her island. So I think this is awesome. You are all a good quality of ambassadors, and this is really interesting that you participate in a network voluntarily, and we want to award these efforts. So Then I want to speak with you something really important that we have been working during these months, and I can communicate that finally it's ready. I have received a lot of comments from some of you asking me about that. So I will show you a bit, not the entire document because it's a lot. So we decided as a team to to communicate or to carry out this process in parts, not the general one. So let me see. So I will give you a general overview of the in-person event. So we have the in-person event that will happen during the Virtual Island Summit 2022. So it will be created by the ambassadors. And this is a really good point because you will be the organizer of those events. We decided to do those events this year in person, not virtually. So if you had in mind to create virtual events, no, this will not be possible this year because we will encourage you to create the physical events. And we want to know what happened there. I think it will be interesting and it will be more local, not as an international level. Maybe you want to invite someone from other country, and this is totally fine, but it will be hosted in your community, in your island. So I think this is good. And so you will represent your community. You will share best practices for the benefits of all of the island. And this will be, as I mentioned before, a side events of the, I don't want to say side because it will be the same, it will be important than the Virtual Island Summit. So it will happen during this event. If you don't know about the Virtual Island Summit, you can check our website, or I will write the link in the chat. So you can check what is this event about. This is an international event with more than 10,000 attendees annually. So you can learn from different experts, from different backgrounds of the speakers. And the representatives are over 500 islands around the world. So, and you can see here what are the Island Innovation Hubs. This is the name that we have now, but maybe we can change because sometimes it could be difficult for you. So it will be in-person event in a local communities and local transformation will aim, and also will be accessible to people that usually don't have the chance to attend the event. Maybe we want to create this hybrid idea of having this international virtual event, the Virtual Island Summit, and those local in-person events on your island. And I think it will be really good. I don't know, I'm expect to see a lot of events happening simultaneously. So I don't know, maybe I will participate in one of them, but I don't know, I'm not sure. Yeah, and here I don't want to go into the details because you will have the possibility to check this framework. And here are the key topics of the Virtual Island Summit. So green finance and economy, connectivity and digitization, culture and community, and blah, blah, blah. So the idea here is that you can pick up one of the topics at the Virtual Island Summit. So this will be the topics of the Virtual Island Summit. And this will be the topics of your local events. So you can pick up one of these topics, and your local event could be focused on those topics. So, for example, I am expert in climate action, And I consider that is a good choice to choose the climate action topic. So I will transfer this global or international topic to my local community. So maybe I can speak about the climate action in Chile, in, I don't know, in Tierra del Fuego, or in your island, I don't know, Fiji, in the Caribbean, I don't know. So, but the good thing here is that maybe you can try to find a balance between what is your expertise and what is the need in your local community, because okay, sometimes I can be really enthusiastic in circular economy, but this not apply on my community. Okay, so here you have topics again. So maybe you can start to think on that. You can start to think, okay, I am really good at tourism and remote work. So maybe I can be focused on that topic, or maybe I can be focused on ocean and biodiversity. But let me think a bit. So I will take a rest and I will go to the beach, and maybe I will start to think what is the best topic of my local event. And also I want to mention the last part, and then we will go to the next we will go to the with our invited. So we have the case studies, and if you feel that this is impossible because of COVID or because of other things, so we have here our case study that already happened. So this was a physical event from Bonnie Ludas. It was the organizer of those events, and it was physically and in Netherlands, and they have a meeting all together during the Virtual Island Summit, and they have the possibility to filming several promotional videos for the Virtual Island Summit, identify what they are looking for to gain by joining into the local Virtual Island Summit, and what is their understanding of creating local change. So they have a meeting as a company, as an organization, and it was a really success. And then we have a Saint Helena Community College. So they streamed the Virtual Island Summit in a community college, and they invited the community to attend in person the event in person. So maybe they have the opportunity to discuss all together what is happening during the Virtual Island Summit, and the people have the possibility to pick up one of the sessions and attend and discuss there. So I think this it was a really good case study. And then we have Guadalupe, but I don't have much information there, so it's coming. And but we will provide you some of the topics that the formats that maybe we can give you some ideas on the format of those events, and you can check there what is the best applied for you. But now, okay, so we have those topics that you can choose, and you can be focused the next month in order to create those in-person events. So thank you so much for all of you that are interested on creating those events. I know that there are people that already spoke with me, like Isabel, please, I need a framework, or I need your help there. So now we have the framework ready, so you can check this document then, and we can start to discuss around that. But we will be into step by step. No, I will not give this framework and that's all. So maybe next meeting we can take 10 minutes to discuss that, and it will be fine. And regarding to those topics, you will have the possibility to create those events, but also you will have the possibility to create content, and you will have the possibility to write a blog post. So that's why I invited my colleagues today. So I will introduce my colleague Simon Torcas. He is a content creator of Island Innovation, and you can check her profile on LinkedIn and maybe Island Innovation website. And he will speak today more about the content creation. So Simon, the floor is yours.
Great, thanks Isabel for the introduction, and hi everybody, thank you for joining us today. Thanks for taking the time to join this session. I'm just going to share my screen with you because I've prepared a little presentation. Yes, so as Isabel mentioned, I'm going to be talking today about communication as a tool for social transformation. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Simon Turkis, and I am one of the content managers at Island Innovation. I've been working with Island Innovation since March 2020. And yeah, my job involves writing blog posts, writing some of the email newsletters, and especially one of the main focuses of my role is to write social media posts and engage with people that engage with us. So leave comments and I will comment back, that kind of thing, and amplify our posts as well to our audience. So first of all, I thought it might be useful to just define, because some of you might be wondering what exactly is social media. And according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, the definition of social media is forms of electronic communication, such as websites for social networking and microblogging, through which users create online communities to share information, ideas, personal messages, and other content such as videos. So this could be blogs, microblogs, forums, business networks, photo sharing platforms like Flickr, for example, or Instagram, chat apps like WhatsApp or Slack, or social networks such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn. I think when people think of social media, they often straight away they think in their mind Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, the main platforms. But as you can see, there's lots of other options to use, such as blogs, for example, or forums. These all fall under the grand category of social media. Just some social media statistics for you to show how important social media is worldwide and how it is also continuing to grow in importance. In 2021, over 3.7 billion people were using social media worldwide. And this is projected to increase to almost 4.41 billion by 2025. As of January 2022, the global average social media usage rate per region was 58.4%. And in some regions, that's much higher. It could be up to 80% or more, for example, in North America or Northern Europe. So clearly, social media is a massive tool to use for you guys, which I'll get onto later, and how you can effectively use it. The number of social media users worldwide is anticipated to continue growing, and most of social media's growth is being driven by the increasing usage of cheap mobile devices in developing countries. Sorry, I can hear someone speaking. No. Okay. In addition to improvements in digital infrastructure. So that's something to bear in mind, that social media is growing primarily now through the uptake of mobile devices. More people are using social media on mobile phones rather than their computers, laptops, etc. So that's something to bear in mind when you're creating content for social media. And mobile first market in Eastern Asia is top of the global ranking of mobile social networking usage. As of 2022, the average daily social media usage of internet users worldwide is 147 minutes per day. So almost 2.5 hours a day people are using on social media for. And this is more in some regions. So we definitely can't discount social media. And throughout the pandemic, between 2019 and 2021, the growth in all the major social media platforms, as you can see on this little infographic, grew. So Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, Reddit, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, they all grew, and other platforms, of course, as well. So I just want to run through quickly some social media platforms and formats that you should know about that you might not be aware of in 2022, because as I said, it's not just Facebook, Twitter, etc. There are many other things you should know about social media. So there's social audio platforms and formats. For example, Twitter Spaces. You can now create a Twitter space and talk to an audience on Twitter. This is something that was newly released. I think it was last year that was released. There's also Spotify and Clubhouse. Twitter Spaces is kind of a bit of a copy of Clubhouse, but Clubhouse kind of came up with that idea of creating a space where people can talk to each other. There's also video social media platforms and formats, for example, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram stories and reels, and Facebook Watch. There's disappearing content formats like Instagram stories, Snapchat, Facebook stories. There's discussion forums like Reddit and Quora. There's social media live streams such as Twitch, YouTube, Instagram Live, Facebook Live. There's business social media platforms like LinkedIn. There's closed private community social media platforms like Slack or Facebook groups. Facebook especially, although some elements of Facebook are becoming maybe less popular, Facebook groups has really taken off in the last couple of years. And this is something that they're seeing a massive growth in. People prefer to connect in these smaller groups or groups that they have a common interest around. Like, for example, we have our Island Innovation Group. And maybe Isabel or Christian could just post a link to that in the chat for those for ambassadors that don't know about our group. And there's also inspirational social media platforms such as Pinterest, YouTube, Instagram, or blogs where people post inspirational content, videos or photos or written content. So just to break up this, which is your favorite social media platform and why? We'd love to hear which are your favorite platforms and why. So please share your favorite social media platform and why in the chat box. And I'll just give you 30 seconds to do that. I just want to see some examples of what your favorite platforms are. So Marta says Instagram for the visuals and videos. Robert says LinkedIn. Christian, Stephanie, Instagram and LinkedIn. We've got Twitter, we've got Instagram and Facebook, Facebook Messenger, Telegram, Instagram and LinkedIn. Slack is great for teamwork, definitely, Marta. Angela says Telegram and LinkedIn. Roy, Facebook. Angela Faye says LinkedIn for professional conversations. Facebook for community personal conversations. Gillian says, I'm afraid I'm old school and use Facebook for connecting with friends. Don't need to be sorry for that, Gillian. LinkedIn for professional and Alignable for local connections. Oh, that's a new one. I haven't heard of that one. Yasmin, LinkedIn, Instagram, LinkedIn, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So yeah, there's a wide range of different platforms people are sharing here in the chat, and there does seem to be a common thread that many people are fans of either Instagram or LinkedIn. We've got some Twitters in there. Not so many Facebooks I can see. Oh, Nextdoor, that's another one I haven't heard of. Thanks for mentioning that, Alex. I'll have to check that out. Great, so thanks for sharing those in the chat. So the general trend of social media is it's growing worldwide across all major platforms. And as you can see from the chat, there are always new platforms emerging all the time as well. Like I'd never heard of Nextdoor, for example, and then there was Clubhouse, which was released recently. And many of these platforms come and go, of course. There's many that have, well, sadly, you might think, and others might be happy about that, but some have come and gone, disappeared, like they used to be MySpace back in the day, for those of you old enough to remember. But this is not just true for the younger generations. Older generations are frequently using social media platforms like Facebook, and this is especially true during the pandemic. This happened because people were using social networks to connect with each other, because obviously it was safer than going out and meeting up with people. So people were using these networks to connect and have conversations and share ideas. Social media is a fantastic tool to communicate problems and challenges that your islands face, and also the solutions to these problems to a global audience. As I mentioned previously, there are literally billions of people using social networks. So if you post ideas, written or video or photos or content on social media networks, whichever one it may be, you have the potential to reach hundreds, thousands, millions, or even billions of people. So first of all, sorry, 1 second, I'm just going to grab up a little script I had in the background. I want to talk to you about how to use social media effectively to communicate the problems and challenges of your islands and share the solutions needed to overcome these. So the first strategy I want to talk to you first about creating a strategy. So you want to decide which and how many platforms you're going to use to communicate the problems and share the solutions that you have on your islands. If you want to reach an older audience, you may consider sticking to Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. For a younger audience, you might switch to TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. And for a combination of ages, try and use a combination of these platforms. Decide how much time you want to invest each day in using social media. It's very easy to get sucked into just scrolling endlessly on social media because, to be honest, I'm sure many of you have experienced this. They can be very addictive, these platforms. They're designed actually to keep us hooked. But I want to talk to you about, you don't want to get hooked on these platforms, but also don't discount them from your daily use because they can be extremely powerful tools. So I would suggest to spend at least 30 minutes per day, maybe a bit longer, engaging with other people's content and posting your own content. And try to become much more of a creator rather than a consumer. So what I mean by that is, rather than scrolling and looking at people's cat videos, as entertaining as they might be, try to put out your own content. So put out content related to your islands and put that out into the world, and then engage with people that interact with you about that content, rather than getting hooked into just consuming other people's content. So tips for effectively building engagement and starting conversations on social media. Number one, encourage engagement by posting interactive content. Interactive content should increase engagement and ideally lead to more followers. So some examples of interactive content that you can create are polls. You can use these on Facebook groups, Twitter or LinkedIn profiles, Instagram stories, or even on your YouTube channel now you can post polls. Many of these platforms continually evolve and change and add new features. And when one platform adds a feature, many of the others then follow suit and add that feature to their platform as well, like YouTube channel, like on YouTube, for example, where you can now add polls. So I'm just going to check the chat because I see there's lots of messages coming on chat to see if there's anything popped up I need to respond to. Oh, someone's asked, will these slides be shared? And yes, we can share these slides, definitely. And I hope I'm not going through them too quickly. I know there's a lot of information, so we can share these slides. You can also create question and answer sessions through Instagram stories, for example. And this is a great way to interact with people. For many of you, if you have used Instagram stories, you'll know that they're continuing to add new features as well, such as polls, question and answers, emojis. You can add music to your stories. You can add all these different effects and features to make your stories more interesting. I would also recommend asking a question in a social media status update, so including a call to action. I mentioned that your followers can comment and answer to your question, and this can be done on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, or other platforms as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something fancy like a poll. It could just literally be writing a question as a status update on whichever platform you're using, and then asking people to leave a comment to reply to that question. And these are all ways to encourage engagement and make your content more interactive rather than you just broadcasting a message out there. You're creating that conversation. You're bringing the social back into social media. The second tip I'd say is to definitely add videos and photos to make your posts more interesting. So videos and photos are increasingly important on social media, and the caveat to that is especially videos. Video, as you've probably noticed if you're on any social media platform, is pretty much taking over all the platforms, and this is only predicted to increase because video and photo to a lesser extent is just more entertaining, more engaging, more interesting than text. And this is true across all social media platforms. For example, Instagram Reels is now was released last year as a competitor to TikTok because TikTok was stealing business away from Instagram. So Instagram, the people behind Instagram decided we need to come up with a strategy to get our business back on track. So they introduced Instagram Reels. Images on Twitter get 313% more engagement than text alone, according to Socialnator. But daily video views on Twitter have seen a 62% year-over-year increase, and there's been a 72% year-over-year increase in watch time. So even Twitter, which used to just be text updates, 140 characters, which they've now increased to 280 characters, it's also being largely well, not taken over, that's the wrong term, but it's being, people are increasingly adding photos and videos to their tweets because they just perform better generally than just a text update. Although, of course, you can still just use text on Twitter and most of these social platforms. Third tip I would say is to stay social. Don't just post your own content and ignore everyone else's. This is kind of a bit of a selfish thing to do, and this is what, unfortunately, some brands are guilty of. They just broadcast their message out there, and then they don't actually listen to what people are saying about their content. They're just kind of broadcasting their products because they want people to buy from them, and they're not really using the social aspect of social media. So engage with those that comment on or share your content and or tag you in photos, videos, and posts. This brings the whole engagement and interactivity back into social media. And this shows that you listen to your followers and connections and others who engage with your content, and that your account and content is worth engaging with. So if you're just if you do this, then you're more likely to churn your followers into long-term fans. They're going to not just follow you and view your content and then move on. If they see that you actually engage with with their comments and engage with them, they're going to become fans and they're going to continue to engage with your content. They're going to continue to share your content. And you can build up long-term relationships with people via social media, which then can lead to business opportunities, friendships, or other opportunities. It doesn't have to just stay behind the screen. It can lead to other things in the future. If you ignore people commenting on or sharing a post, then over time, this will make them less likely to continue to engage with the content, because they'll think, what's the point? I'll move on to somebody or either an individual or an organization that's more engaged with our content. And if you notice with the Islands Innovation accounts, this is what we've tried to do as much as possible, because we get a lot of engagement, people sharing our content, people commenting, liking, leaving reactions to our content. And we try to, as much as possible with the resources that we have, to engage back with those comments and thank people for sharing our content, and engage with some of their content as well, and share posts that people mention us in, because this all leads to a better long-term relationship. And we've got many people now who are kind of lifelong fans, let's say, of Islands Innovation, who continue to engage with our content, which is great for us, of course, and it's really cool to see that they do that. And it's a great relationship we've built up with our followers. And one example I would give is, let's say I see a piece of content that Isabel has shared, and then I might share that on my Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook, etc. And then somebody else that's connected to me, that's not connected to Isabel, might then go on to interact and share that content. And then someone else that they follow might go on, and it will snowball and could potentially lead to hundreds, thousands, even millions of people seeing that original bit of content that Isabel put out there by people that many people that she doesn't know personally or is even connected to on social media. So that is kind of an example of the power of social media to amplify what you're talking about. So the fourth tip I would give is connect with others and start conversations. You do not need to wait for others to follow you or interact with your content. It's very easy to just, like I said earlier, just scroll through content on social media and not really engage with it, just kind of view it, move on to the next thing. But if you want to build those long-term relationships and connections with people, then don't wait for somebody to reach out to you. Leave a comment on their content or their post, their photo, their video. If it's a YouTube video, for example, just leave a like, say how much you enjoyed the video, what you enjoyed about it, just as an example. So start to like, comment on, or share the content of people or organizations you want to get the attention of. You might get the attention of an organization that you're a big fan of if you leave a comment on one of their videos. I'm sure that many of you probably connected with Island Innovation or found out about Island Innovation through social media originally. I would also encourage you to connect with other ambassadors on social media and interact with their content. There's this amazing ambassador network that we have now, 400 people all across the world, mainly on islands. And it's an amazing tool for you guys to use to interact with or to help to boost your content and also to share the content of your fellow ambassadors. So if you go onto the ambassador map on the address that I've left here on the slide on our website, if you click on any of the different points on the map, you'll find all of our ambassadors, and most of you guys have left your LinkedIn profile link on there. And I would encourage you to connect with each other's LinkedIn profiles if you haven't done already. Also, if you would like to, I would suggest to leave your LinkedIn profile in the chat as well. So I'm just going to buzz through some of these quickly because we're just about to wrap. I'm just going to wrap up my presentation. The last thing I want to say to you is I want to leave you guys with a social media challenge. So we would like to challenge you to create a video based on one of the core themes of the Virtual Island Summit and how this relates to your island. So as Isabel mentioned earlier, themes include climate action, the post-pandemic recovery, the blue economy, clean energy transition, circular economy, diversity and inclusion, and many others. So we'd like to challenge you to create a video and to share that on any of the platforms that you like, whether that's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. And try to keep those videos between, let's say, 1 minute and 2 minutes, because those are the kind of times that gain the most engagement and interaction, because people's attention span is often very limited these days, unfortunately. But thanks for listening, everybody, and I hope you've had some value from this presentation. And feel free to connect with me on social media and shoot me a message. I'll be happy to follow up with any further information if you want to ask a question. Thanks, everybody. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Simon. I was enjoying this session. So it was really, I don't know, I think the ambassadors were enjoying as well. So thank you so much for this presentation. It was brilliant. But now we have our second invited, second speaker. So Vincent Deringer is a writing creator at Island Innovation, project and account manager as well. So Vincent, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. I'm very excited to be able to participate in today's ambassador session. So as Isabel said, my name is Vincent Deringer, and I work at Island Innovation as a project manager and a content writer. Today, I will be discussing with you the importance of effective communication and specifically how to create content that is effective in passing on the information you are trying to share. So I'm going to quickly share my screen and we can begin. All right, so first I'd like to very quickly talk about the importance of communication and specifically writing itself. Communication is a tool, one that has been developed for thousands of years, and it's created hundreds of languages. It has defined history, literally, as it has provided records of what has happened and given us the details necessary to better understand the mindsets of people and the context or reception of key events. As such, communication has continued to evolve and develop. And now more than ever, people are more than ever capable of using these tools and putting forward their thoughts and ideas. So on a daily basis, you encounter journalism, blogging, research, and social media, all different forms of writing and communications carried out at different levels. Journalism, as we know, is carried out by reporters and journalists seeking to cover news stories and points of interest. Blogging is done by individuals or groups who want to share their own insights on certain topics. Academics and experts to carry out research to uncover new understandings of complex topics that can be applied to our communities. And as Simon just pointed out, social media is a platform for sharing thoughts, news, and ideas. We as a collective group here are involved more in blogging style of communication. But why is it important for you to communicate? I think simply put, all of our views and positions are valuable information. Your knowledge is useful and can help others in similar situations solve similar issues or challenges. It promotes innovation, it drives conversations, and enables others to see something from your point of view. Communication really is critical to society's ability to act communally, which explains why it is listed as a human right. So how exactly can you communicate effectively? So realistically, there are 5 key steps to take before you start to create content. You can see them on this slide. The first, identifying the topic, is the most important one. What are you going to talk about? You can discuss current news, whether it's local or international. You can do a review of a cultural event or create a case study on a business or a project that you're involved with. Anything that you find interesting and are willing to discuss. Secondly, though, you're going to want to figure out your talking points. So what message clearly are you wanting to pass on? That means narrowing your scope slightly and focusing on 2 or 3 key discussion points. The more points you are adding, the more information you are going to be set on share. Thirdly, you want to read more about the topic, and this is very important. You want to be able to understand and express yourself very effectively. And the best way to do that is to read more and research more about something that you are talking about. If you are also using more examples and sources when you are discussing something, it makes you seem a lot more credible, and you're able to also just make more points that help create a comprehensive story. Now, this kind of flows into the fourth point, and you also want to ensure that you support your argument with facts from reputable sources. When you are reading more about your chosen topics, you want to keep the sources that you believe will add to your writing or your other forms of content close by, so you can always refer back to them. All that is left after that is to create. So very quickly, I also want to just go by and discuss what a reputable source can be. And so wherever possible, you really want to be able to support your work with reputable sources. So these can be news and independent reports. And in this case, really, the more sources are the better. You don't want to just base what it is that you're writing on one report or one article. Maybe look at 4 different articles or 4 different reports from various sectors, just so that you can get a better idea of what's going on. You can look at scientific journals. You can see what experts and specialists are saying on the subject as well. And you can also look at non-governmental organizations. Realistically, in this point, research is your friend. And the most important bit, especially when you are trying to communicate with others, is you have to cite and you have to reference where you are getting all this information. And so very quickly, I just want to see how you can highlight that you've done your research. And when you're creating a blog post, there's many ways that you can do that. For example, you can do some in-text hyperlinking, as you see here. You can also do some endnotes. So that also works for videos, where maybe at the end of your presentation or at the end of your writing, you have a list of all the sources that you yourself used directly to make your content. But, you know, what does this all mean? I've been talking a lot. I'm sure I've probably been speaking a bit too fast. So the best way that we can do this is look at an example. So for example, I want to write something. And I've decided that I'm very interested in oceans, but that's a very broad topic. So I want to look precisely at sea ice. Again, oceans, sea ice, still a bit broad. So we're going to narrow it down a tad. And I'm going to be looking at how sea ice is maybe not discussed enough. I want to highlight how important it is. I want to highlight the loss that we've had with sea ice and the consequences that might have. So to research an article on sea ice, I'm going to be looking at scientific articles. I'm also going to be looking at reports from organizations. And then I'm also going to be looking at various maybe businesses and developments that are working towards either counteracting sea ice or that are studying it. And also, it's always very interesting to look at artistic projects aimed towards it. Now, the only thing that would be left to do is write that article. Luckily, I have. So we can go through and we can kind of just break down very quickly what effective communication can look like. So first off, I think one thing that gets lost a lot when you are trying to write a blog post or when you are trying to communicate something via writing is introducing your topic early. So you may have heard of burying the lead, and burying the lead means that you are talking about your key topic a bit further past your introduction. Realistically, you want to introduce your topic in the first sentence. So for example, in this article, I've gone straight with explaining in the first sentence that yes, scientists have begun sounding the alarm as to the sea ice levels in the Arctic. Later on in my second sentence, I'm already linking to a scientific report. So I'm already showing that I've done some research into this topic and I'm linking directly to it. So people that are interested can go back and look at it. Further down, I've also made a reference to a relevant research group. So this is a non-governmental organization that works with snow and ice data. And I've linked back to their website as well, so that people, again, can go through and read what they have to say on the situation. Still within this introduction, I've also gone through and quoted a scientist from an article in The Guardian, and I've also linked back to that. And then I've used the information from the report that I've discussed earlier and the information that I found in The Guardian to create a bit more of a comprehensive introduction at the end. Something that you want to then develop afterwards is looking at the consequences. So for example, that was something that one of the talking points I identified. And so it can be a bit abrupt sometimes. You don't necessarily know between your introduction and between your body where it is that you are starting to discuss key points. So one thing that can really help you with this is using a relevant heading to indicate change or progression in a topic. So for example, here I've used a heading that shows that I'm going to start talking about the consequences. And within this paragraph, I'm already talking about the comprehensive overviews of the issue. So this has realistically been done through research. So I've gone and I've taken the time to go and look at everything that was available at that time, talking about this issue, and then I've written about it. Now, something that's also very helpful is to actually have images or figures. So I think as Simon was explaining, it can be a bit difficult to keep the captivation of an audience when they are talking about something, especially something that can be a bit complex and maybe not necessarily as interesting as sea ice loss, you know? So in this case, you want to use images and graphs, things that are going to draw people's eye in and essentially keep them on that page. But remember, you always want to indicate where your information is coming from. So for example, this graph that I used has been taken from The Guardian, but the source was NOAA. However, the main picture I used for my article, I didn't cite it. So who knows where I got it from? In this case, I actually did get it from a royalty-free site, but you get the idea. You want to be able to credit people for the work that they've done. So as we continue on, the ideas and the connections develop. So you want to connect sea ice with just not the problems directly associated with sea ice loss, but also the things that that means. So this is what I'm doing here. And I'm also going back and referencing directly to materials that I've used to base my understanding of this issue. Again, as we go through, starting to look at the context and the background of an issue, also very important when you're trying to phrase why an issue is important to you and why it is that you think that people should be listening. So you change the focus equals a new heading. And this is also when you want to start looking at providing solutions, right? It's a bit difficult to read or follow or watch videos that maybe might be too doom and gloom, or not necessarily that, but complain, or they provide an insight into an issue without actually also providing a solution. So I am a firm believer in trying to provide a solution into what it is that you are writing about. So here, for example, I've referenced a geoengineering project, and I'm also providing additional context to why that geoengineering project might be helpful, and also stating back to more facts revolving around why we're losing sea ice. And then after that, you turn it into a very quick conclusion with a call to action, where you're providing more solutions and providing reasons for people to look into the loss of sea ice and taking into the actions that can help mitigate it. So yes, I think I've just spoken a lot, but I think the best ways to sum everything up is you need to try and keep it simple. Effective communication only really happens when you're keeping people engaged. So you want to be as short and concise with your explanations as possible. You want to use images or figures, and you want to keep it short. For example, this article that I just briefly went through is 700 words. That's not that long. It only takes about 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes to actually read through that. And you're able to capture that person's audience and time effectively within that time. So to just round off on all of this, when you want to be communicating effectively, what you should be doing is explaining concepts. You want to use and credit reputable sources. You want to suggest solutions. You want to suggest solutions. You want to encourage discourse. You want people to talk about it. You want to engage, and you want to present facts. If you're able to do all of these things together, you are going to increase your engagement. So it's like what Simon was saying, is if you're going to create something that works well and that if makes your point well, you are going to be able to promote it and engage with it more, which means that over time you are going to be growing your audience and helping people to understand your point of view. So yeah, my challenge for you, as Isabel also mentioned at the top of this meeting, is I'd like you to try and write a 500 or 800 word blog based on some of the following VIS topics, and try and use your own knowledge and expertise into one of these topics and trying to work towards getting your point across as effectively as possible. And,
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vincent. I can see that in the chat are some questions for you. So the first one is, could you please expand on encourage discourse?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just go back quickly. What you want to do when you encourage discourse is you want to create a conversation, right? Because at the end of the day, if you are writing something or you're creating a piece of content, you are trying to express yourself. And if you're just expressing yourself and people are reading and maybe they're not interacting with it, it's hard to know what other people are thinking of your work. And it's hard to know if you're having an impact on those people that you're reaching. So sometimes it's as easy as maybe asking a question at the end of your paper, or tagging specific people in a post on social media that are related to what it is that you're talking about. You want to try and create a conversation about what it is that you are creating, because that creates a movement in terms of people are going to comment, people are going to see it, people are going to like it. And then whether or not they disagree with you, that's the entire part of the conversation, and being able to present your point of view, and them also being able to present their point of view.
Oops, I was talking and I was mute. And the second question from Marta is, as we write and create content, does it need to be reviewed by Island Innovation before it's published or broadcast?
I think in this scenario, it would be nice if we could also have a read of what it is that you're writing, especially if you would like to get it published by Island Innovation. Also, just so that we can maybe give you tips and tricks of the trade and help you develop a bit more your blogging skills. Or in some cases, you know, you're probably going to teach us a few things as well. So I think it would be a good idea to collaborate on this.
Okay, thank you so much. I just want to say that if you have any other questions, you can write in the Ambassador Slack channel, in the Ambassador channel there. So you have a hashtag Ambassador. So you can post your questions regarding to that session. And I think it would be interesting to discuss all together. So you are invited to write a blog post. We will give you the information where you can write the blog post and all of the direction that you need for that. And I just want to say that we all can be creators. We all can be content creators and writers. So if we want to write a good email, for example, those tips, we want to write, if we want to create content for our organizations, or if we have I don't know, if we have an idea in mind, we need to be a good content creator. And I want to give you some, I don't know, some information that I have read yesterday. It was really interesting because it is a part of a marketing course, and the power of having a story. So if you want to write or if you want to create content, you have to have a power story. It could be related to your life, or it could be related to your professional skills. So in order to write a power or a good story, you have to consider who are the characters you want to direct. Then you have to consider what are the conflicts you face and what are the solutions you propose. So these three things are really interesting to consider if you want to create content, or even if you want to write a post on LinkedIn, for example. You have to consider who are the characters that you want to direct your post. So is the young people, is the whole audience that you have on LinkedIn, or is there a specific people that you want to direct? Even is the same as a writer. So who you want to direct your content, and then what are the conflicts you face? Not the conflict that you have in your life, but what are the problems that you want to cover. So for example, this is climate action. This is really simple to identify what are the the conflict that you want to face, and then the solution that you propose, because this is really important as a content creator or as a writer creator. You have to find a solution that you propose, and the people will be really interested in your story. And that's all from my side. I want to thank you, all of you, to participate in that session, and we will give you the challenge of the week in the Ambassador channel. And also, if you have any questions regarding to content creation and writing creation, you can post directly there. So thank you so much, and see you next time. Bye-bye.